Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today I'm joined by Susan and Alex. We are discussing a 2022 movie what's just recently been released. So, spoilers, because there will be spoilers, of course.
Course.
Um, we are talking Bullet Train, starring Brad Pitt and an ensemble cast. A tale of what would you call it? Assassins on a train, a heist. It all goes wrong because Brad Pitt's character has bad luck all the time, and he does really. So we'll go straight across to those two over there with their opening thoughts. Over to you two.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a ripoff of anime and also the Guy Ritchie, British gangster movies, but it's still pretty funny. And of course, the audience, liked most of it. There was only a few, scenes or happenings where you could see the audience kind of go, ooh, or whatever. Brad Pitt was a little, I don't know, some of it was a little samey too with him, but again, his character plays an important part because everybody else either has a vendetta or they're hiding something or they're, actual assassins. And it was kind of funny that the audience got surprised. And there was a guest appearance by somebody who was very well known for almost playing the exact same character, almost like Brad Pitt. His initials are RR, but he didn't show up in the rest of the movie. He only showed up for like 10 seconds, and that was it. But I liked it. I mean, I would buy the movie. It's cute. Um, like I said, it's sort of a combination of like four movies. It's part adventure, part anime, part British gangster flick, part. And I knew that was Sandra Bullock as the voice on the phone that he was talking to. So the only thing that I didn't like was it didn't tie up all the loose ends, but I know some people would like that. And then you have to stay past the credits to see the resolution of, Lemon and Tangerine, the Assassin Brothers. So that was kind of interesting. And I also like it too because it is a little bit of a B movie, of a corny movie. So I always like Sharknado and movies like that where, it's not really intellectual, doesn't really make sense, but again, it's a bullet train too. So I mean, they can't some people I know would have argued if that it slowed down on like the last 10 minutes and then picked up with the sequence after the credits. And of course, we know that that's what a lot of movies do now to keep people in the theater or to the Marvel movies and stuff like that. So
So you mentioned the Marvel movies because of RR?
no, not only that, but the no, just the having the movie technically continue after the credits. I mean, yes, they had Ferris Bueller do that as well, but it didn't go on for a full 10 minutes after the credits. It was like what, 2 minutes? Not even 2 minutes. So it's not totally original, but most movies aren't. And we know, breaking the fourth wall. We know jump cuts. We know the spinning camera. We know slow motion. We know, um, they have other things that happen in the movie. I don't want to give it all away.
Give it away.
No,
Give it
where
away.
they
Give it
have
away. Give it away
where
now.
they have something show on the screen for like a minute or two, and then you have to remember, in your mind, where it was, which is fine. I mean, that's part of the gag too of surprising the audience. I mean, some people like movies like that where everything is not only fast and furious, pardon the pun, but also many different characters that you may or may not know them. They have another surprise in the movie because this actress has been basically known for trying to do teenage rom coms like the next generation of Mean Girls. Sadly, those movies aren't as smart that she was in, but now hopefully she can.
Are you speaking
Right.
about Joey King?
Right. So hopefully she can start being in more movies that are, smarter than films named The Kissing Booth and things like this. So I did like it. Like I said, it's not really intellectual, but I like the fact that and even though I love digital and I love being able to buy stuff online, you don't permanently own it. And there is also something where um, the only issue is with the COVID and the price of the popcorn. So we didn't see this with any food with us. We were so busy trying to get there on time. And the trailers were good too. So I have to give credit to that. So it was a little bit of a hark back to, the 80s, 90s. It wasn't as good as the 70s trailers or the 70s movie experience. But then you didn't have any digital, you didn't have any DVD. You were lucky if you could afford a cable or VHS. And back in those days, it's like 6,000 or whatever. It's like trying to buy a laptop, state of the art laptop now.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, there is something for the movie experience. Like I saw the Dukes of Hazzard film one, not the original 70s one, but the original 90s one with Linda Carter and Willie Nelson as Uncle Jesse, and seeing the original Addams Family movies with Christina Ricci, and now that's had like 4 or 5 reboots. I think they're gonna do 2 more. But there's something nice about seeing. There's something pleasant and soothing and fun about seeing the audience reaction. Because it's a surprise to you. It's usually a surprise to them, unless they've been able to see the screeners. Like I was able to go to the screeners of The Rocketeer and Mean Girls, and I think there was like 3 other movies that I saw that were screeners that they either didn't show the ending, or they made you fill out the questionnaire to see, if they had to change the ending. And I would have actually changed this ending a little bit, but I still liked it. But I actually didn't like that the sequence after the credits was so long, but I did like it. I just kind of thought it should have been shorter, or they should have actually ended the movie, right there in sequence, and not broken it up. But yeah, I do like the movie, and I do like, even when other people kind of criticized it worse than me, I kind of went, no, this is an experience. Now, if they wanted to make 3 more of these, then I'd kind of go, okay, it better be special. This better not be Fast and the Furious again. Go ahead.
Okay. The thing that the thing that really stood out to me um, as my opening thoughts for this movie were the enjoyable way that the train itself gave each stop sort of a super short time frame, so that I mean, like it was 1 minute between, like 1 minute stopping time.
Does that happen in real life on these trains?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think
Oh,
you have to be queued up and ready to leave or enter before the train stops. And so yeah, that was a little amazing. And then the other and so it gave it sort of a pace. It was a fun, fast-paced movie. I mean, the train itself being as fast as it was made all the fight scenes seem faster because the train itself was moving fast. So I mean, I don't know what that is, just amazing. So there were quite intense, speedy, fast scenes and quite intense, speedy, like turnabouts and changes of direction, and where you thought the plot was going this way and then it turned and stuff, plot twists or whatever. And so that was really fun. And then the other thing that was really great about this movie was I mean, I really liked the cast. I mean, it was like Brad Pitt, Joy King, and then Tangerine and Lemon. I'd never heard of these actors, Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry, but I also hadn't heard of some of the rest of the cast, like Andrew Koji and Hiroyuki Sanada, and but then there's a guy named there was a character called White Death, and it was played by a guy who I thought I thought the name kind of really resonated with us in our group because his name was Michael Shannon, and we all started our podcasting experience like hanging out with a guy by the name of Michael Shannon, and so that was quite amusing, and so I was like. I kept looking for him and looking for him, thinking, "Oh my God, this might happen." Anyway,
This Michael Shannon was known for playing General Zod in Man of Steel, and
yeah, it's okay, okay. But it was fun anyway. Anyway, it's Sandra Bullock and Bad Bunny and Logan Lerman and Zazie Beetz played the Hornet and Masioka played the conductor, and yeah, so there was a lot of Asian actors and lots of I mean there was lots of other it was very diverse cast. It was super fun. That it was a very diverse cast. I mean, Pancho Gardenia played the cartel enforcer. Julio Gabay played El Saguaro. And yeah, so I mean, like fun. Anyway, so so yeah, and I enjoyed the way that I enjoy the way that they included the various different storylines, including that one anime character in there. And then yeah, so it was really enjoyable. It was a fun, fast paced movie with a great cast and lots of energy, and it did end with a fun after credit scene that Alex mentioned. So back over to you, Lee.
yeah, thanks you both. I didn't know what to expect from this movie because I say Susan suggested it last week, so I went, yeah, let's do it. So I delved into it yesterday. Really enjoyed it. You could see it was all filmed CGI on the studio set, but that didn't take away because it felt, as you say, anime. The action was anime. The sort of the scenery looked anime. You know, the scenery through the trade windows as it passed, and say the fight scenes was amazing. Great choreography. When they slowed down or quickened up, brilliantly done. And the twists and the plots. I'm looking for this suitcase with the money in it. Amazing story and plot twists, and the characters, some far out and some sort of grounded. I mean, Brad Pitt's what's his name, Ladybug, the assassin.
Ladybug.
Ladybug. Yeah, he just wanted a simple life. He wanted out. He didn't want to use guns anymore. But that wasn't going to happen because of the all the other passengers on the train. As you say, we had Aaron Taylor Johnson as Tangerine and Brian Tyree Henry as Lemon. Great combination, those two. Those two reminded me of the two assassins in Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah.
The sort of comedic pairing.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit different, but yeah, they did sort of hint at it for like a minute or so because they do have a lot of lines.
Yeah,
they do have a lot of lines. So it's kind of funny how, what was it? The wider guy was like, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot your head off if you mention, Thomas the Tank Engine again and all that."
Yeah. So what was it Lemon? Yeah, Lemon had a fascination with Thomas the Tank Engine. But and Tangerine, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's a well-known British actor, but known across in cinema verse of the Avengers. He played Quicksilver. And he's now going to be playing Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, okay.
so he's going to hopefully bulk up and grow his hair long
Mm.
to play Craven the Hunter. And hopefully going to get him against Spidey in the future. But so all the other supporting cast, brilliantly. You say you had the Hornet. That was only a short scene with the Hornet,
Yeah.
but that was really well done. With the venom, injected venom.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then at the end of the movie with the destruction of the train at the end of the line.
Oh my gosh.
That was just an amazing scene, and it went on for a while. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. A bit of violence, you can't go wrong with a bit of violence in these type of movies. You know me and violence,
Uh-huh.
but you even if it's not guns, it's samurai swords.
Uh-huh.
You can't go wrong. So, so let's go over back to you then, and we'll carry on talking about favourite things or things you're not so keen on. Back to you two.
Go ahead.
I mean, again, I knew a little bit about this movie because I had seen it reviewed on Twitch and all that, so I knew a little bit of it. Even they had to edit it down because they have to ask for permission from the screeners, and then I guess there's a time frame, and then the audience is kind of saying, well, don't reveal the whole thing, especially if it's a brand new movie. Like I said, it's part spy, part comedy, part anime, part British gangster flick. And like I said, I would have liked it a little bit more intellectual, but I don't know if that would have stopped like the fun and the surprise and I mean, you have to juggle like what 30 characters in this movie. So maybe if it had been too intellectual, then it might have slowed it down. But I had a feeling it was Sandra Bullock even before I saw her. So the voice is ringing in my head, which is funny because I'm not a huge fan of hers.
Right.
I mean, I liked her when she was the relative of the Bionic Family in the '80s,
Yeah.
TV movies, or I liked her in Miss Congeniality or Speed, and it's kind of like, oh wait, she's sort of doing a tribute to Speed
Sort
with
of.
Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper, but not exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
true.
mean, again though, but I can't complain too much because people saw my movie library, part black exploitation flick, part goofy horror movie, part Sharknado. The fact that the British TV shows are actually more serious than, unless I'm watching like a '60s movie, and I do watch a lot of spy movies. So as much as the Born Identity is not horrible, I
That's
don't I
kinda
don't
like
really
horror.
yeah, I don't really like, well, no, it's the camera angles and the fight scenes.
Well,
But
right.
in a
But
way I'm upset because in a way it took away from like the Bond, mystique, and the fact that Daniel Craig was kind of doing the same thing. But I don't know if that's because they had to update it or if it's the genre. Because that's the other thing, if you're going to be paying, in America, you could almost pay for like $16 for popcorn and soda and maybe one other item. You're paying almost $20 for junk food that you can get outside for $5,
yep.
and you're paying 20 or more. And then you have to pay, if you're lucky, $10 for the ticket. We saw it when it was National Cinema Day,
Cinema
so it
day.
was
So
three. So it was
we spent
$3.
we only spent $3 for a ticket. It was so great.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
but it was well worth that.
Well, I mean, again, unfortunately, we don't have space here, and I don't trust the walls to get a 60-inch TV. But I think that's just too expensive.
Yeah, the walls are
So I
weird.
don't know. I don't know what the. I know some people don't go anymore because of kids and because of. But we had that even with Star Wars, even the original Star Wars, not the special editions, where it was like, wow, that's only what, maybe 5 new minutes of sequence. So I don't know. It's tough. I don't want the movies to go away, but at the same point, it's kind of like I don't know if I like it. But then, I mean, the other ironic thing is I'm talking about going to the movies in the '90s where it turned out like
But,
what was it, like 55% of the movies in the market were
but,
actually
but this was
yeah, it was a money laundering scheme. So
but this was
yeah.
actually like this brought a lot of the same tropes from the 70s or from the 30s and 40s, like
Mhm.
with what's his face, Buster Keaton running after the train,
Yeah.
jumping
Yeah.
on the holding on as it's flying, and then
Yeah.
he's sort of, and then the one
Mhm.
the other, I mean that it was going so much faster than humans were, and then I just like who was it when they were outside the train. I like that one guy was hanging on the front of it. It was like, wow, that was
No, that's yeah.
it was. I mean, it was really dangerous. There's lots of jeopardy involved when you put human beings in the path of trains.
Well,
It's
we
just
don't. Yeah, we don't know.
freaked out.
We don't know if that's really human. Like I said, that's the other thing is that even when I was watching the Tom Cruise first version of the Mission Impossible,
Yeah,
when I had grown up watching the reruns of Mission Impossible on TV, the original version, even the '70s one with Leonard Nimoy and Leslie Ann Warren, ironically. Um, I mean, I like that series too, but for different reasons. But some of the tropes worked and some of them didn't. But yeah, tropes are anywhere. I mean, tropes are anywhere.
but this
But I'm talking about the changing of the, like, I mean, some of it was fun, even though they're using the trope of like, Jackie Chan use anything.
that's
And then
true.
originally he was a stuntman for Bruce Lee, even though Bruce Lee died pretty early, considering. But
But
in 70,
he
right,
developed
yeah,
his whole
right. So,
own
right.
style, and then his
Right.
whole own comedy based on that style.
Right, but originally he was a stuntman in the 70s.
But that was
So,
during serious. But this was more humorous than
somewhere
that.
and yeah, somewhere and some weren't. But what I'm saying is the tropes are there and I understand that. And I even give it credit for trying to do like, a turn on it, which is what you're actually supposed to do. But
Yeah,
the other thing that worries me is like I said, the Born Identity isn't a bad movie series, but it's like the fight scenes actually did change all the other movies, like the Matrix did with like the internet and the fight scene, like the famous fight scenes from that movie with the floating and the flying and all that stuff. Um, that's what I'm complaining about is not just the trope, but the fact that it's influencing the trope too much.
do you think
And
that
then you
this?
start noticing that they're imitating it through,
But you think
10,
that this
20 other
one
movies.
this one is sort of sucked into the trope. It's not. It isn't though.
No, but
It
I mean,
expands on it.
no, but I mean, they did, but they didn't. I mean, some things had to be that
Oh,
way.
come on,
Some of the
Alex.
some
You
of the
liked
things
it
that
more than
no,
that.
I did like it, but
Ugh.
I'm saying that I wanted I could see where on the internet they're criticizing it for doing a
Alex,
thing.
Alex is being the devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
is completely
yeah. But
totally
I don't know.
100%.
Let me ask the other people, so I'm not being unfair. Did you think that it should have stolen from another trope, or do you think it should have been written slightly differently, or do you think it just would have messed up the whole thrill ride of it? Because it is kind of a roller coaster. So for that, you can't be totally intellectual for that because you're
Well,
caught up in the moment what you're seeing.
Well, right. It has.
yeah, you have a lot of influences. You have tropes upon tropes influence other tropes. Tropes steal from other tropes. You'll see it's just a big mix of everything what's gone before.
Yeah.
Um, I don't mind if things are pinched from here or pinched from there, as long as it's a great story. You enjoy what you're watching. Um, so yeah, you steal from the best, don't you?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if it's the best, but I still like it. I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I do like it.
I told you. Yeah, I know
So
it.
I do like it. But then again, like I said,
All right.
I'm not watching 10,000 British gangster movies, so I don't know if there's actually
Well, it's not.
something better.
There isn't.
that I
There isn't
missed.
a lot of. I mean, this was borrowing from that, but it was also borrowing from all the other things
Right.
like
Yeah.
like I mean, it was borrowing from things like Thomas the Tank Engine, and it was borrowing from things like that like those animes with like the Pokemon or whatever, with the big round figure, big round
Yeah.
character who is actually super powerful. So that when Brad Pitt is slugging on this anime character, the anime character didn't
Well, I don't think it was Brad Pitt,
get
but
hurt.
that's okay. I think that might have fell into them because the train was crashing. But like I said, I mean that's
Anyway,
the other thing. It's
anyway.
a it's a roller coaster as well. So I mean, obviously that's what the because even I sensed that some of the audience didn't like the dialogue toward the end,
I don't.
where they sort of had to tie up the story and tie up the revenge story. So some people kind of thought it was a little Pulp Fiction too. I think that's the other problem too, is that we also have the internet, so you can go back and see everything from 10 years ago, unless they have like a huge copyright DMCA strike against it. You can go back and see, whereas originally 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you couldn't go back and see everything before it or after it. So,
No, but you could read stories about it. Like Bogdanovich used to write books about making movies. That was all about that stuff.
right.
Anyway, well, let's throw it back to Lee and get his what were things that you liked and didn't like so much.
As I said, I like the two the twins, as they were called.
Yeah, they were twins.
Uh, like Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
I did like Brad Pitt's portrayal of Ladybug. I thought he was just laid back, didn't want any trouble, but it just came his way all the time. Um, as I said, the fight scenes were wonderful. One of the scenes, what does stand out for me, is when the train is absolutely, it's just going to pieces, and it's all in slow motion. And Brad Pitt's just flying through the carriages in slow motion. That is so amazing. The things are hitting people in the faces, and I love things like that. And the setting on the bullet train, uh, in I think it was Japan. It was set, wasn't it? It was Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, with that culture, because you saw with the big cats, the Pokemon characters and the bright colours, it just stood out. It made it a lot better. If it was just a drab old train in England or across America, it wouldn't have been the same. You had to have the colourful.
We haven't had any really good. We haven't had any really good Amtrak train movies
But,
recently. Anytime recently.
but if you ever see footage of, as I say, Japan, or of people walking in the streets of Japan, it's so colourful. All the neon lights, all the people about, and as I say, and added it to it, and it was that sort of brought it more off the screen for my eyes, anyway. Yeah, I loved it. There was, so, as Alex said, some of the dialogue was a bit, a bit iffy here and there, but it's an action movie. This movie is, you don't need a high intellectual to sit down and watch this. Leave the brain at the door, sit down, put your feet up, and just sit here for 2 hours and enjoy it. For me, anyway, personally, you don't. I mean, it's not Hamlet, is it?
Well, no, I mean it's not. It's
No.
not supposed to be Hamlet anyway. But
No, but I agree with it. I agree with some of the dialogue. Yeah, the dialogue is, but I think it might have been done on purpose. All that.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's sort of a B movie still. It's sort of a B movie of some
I totally get sort of it is a B movie. Well, it comes across with the feel of a B movie,
Right.
but with the budget, a Hollywood budget.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So that's the funny thing. Like the credits,
Mm.
they still show in the corners the items that were, special interest in the movie and the anime and all that. So now I don't know how many people are going to read the actual book.
The book,
Yeah,
the book was called something else though.
yeah. the book was called-
What was it now? Um,
I didn't
Maria
know it came from a book.
Maria Beetle,
Right. Yeah.
and the name of the character what Sandra Bullock played was Maria Beetle.
Yeah.
So there you go. But that's what the book was called, novel. I have got a question for our review here. I mean, there is a cameo by another person in this, and it's not RR, it's Mr. Tatum,
Oh, is it? Okay.
Channing Tatum. Yes, he's the one reading his book and
Yeah,
Oh,
think-
yeah, that one. He goes, he thought he was going to be able to,
have kinky sex.
yeah, have some kinky train sex. Yeah.
Yeah, we never saw him get off the train.
No, I know. I was like, oh, well, he seems.
Is he, that's what I was thinking. Was he still on the train right till the end? Because but
Well, I mean, if he likes falling, he certainly got a thrill out of that. If he wants to have, if he wants to have one of those, what did they used to call it? The extreme,
Mm.
extreme, bruh. So if he wants to have extreme,
Well, I was watching. I was through it, and I'm thinking, where's all the passengers going?
yeah, the passengers seem to leave like in the last 30 minutes of the.
Yeah, there was. I thinking, well, hold on, that carriage is empty, and then walking through that carriage is empty, and then I know they did say that the villain of the piece had bought all the remaining seats on the train, so there'd be no passengers. But then I thought, well, you never saw Tatum leave, so I thought, oh, right. You'd have thought they filmed a little section where he was getting off the train.
Well, no, but I mean this is the other question because that's why I say it's a trope. Not then, like I said, I love tropes, but the funny thing is, like you've had it in other movies now, like the Bourne series and even the Final Destination series, where in the third movie that's where it starts on a roller coaster, and then they show like six different things that could have happened on the roller coaster
Mm.
because I guess the screws were loose. So they show this person falling and this person, getting killed and this person dies another way and all that. So I couldn't help but think of that when I saw like the last 10, the last 5 minutes of the movie. So that's why I like it, but I don't like it because it reminds me of so many other movies too. It's kind of like, okay, so this reminds me of the Bourne Identity, and then it reminds me of Snakes on a Plane, and then it reminds me of Sharknado, and then it reminds me of an anime, and then it reminds me of Final Destination with some of the death sequences. So maybe I still love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like, yeah, maybe because it reminds me of too many things and that I remember it too quickly. It's like, okay, so this partially takes some of the fun out, for me. I'm having fun, but it takes a little bit out because it's like it's too many callbacks. But it's like, well, then again, I have to remember maybe not everybody has seen 10,000 bad movies like I have. They can say, "Oh, this reminds me of something." Wait a minute, I'll go back. It's sort of like a, what I mean. It's like the same thing, Lee. Like when you know a genre too well. Like I know people that have seen every spy movie or every horror movie or every sci-fi, thing. And you kind of go, sometimes you're very impressed and sometimes you're not because you've seen so many of it that you're
Well,
automatically reminded.
originality these days is a dying thing because
Right.
everything has been done before now. There's nothing left what can be original.
No,
Um,
I mean, we have to admit the photography was very well done.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Photography was even when it was a little bit phony, it still wasn't bad enough that you went, oh, this is cheap or this is done badly or whatever.
oh, so good.
But it's kind of like it just, but maybe that's why because I've just seen so many of it that it was like, okay, so if they had taken out the train part, or if they had taken out the speed part, or if they had taken out, more more characters, it probably would have been more intellectual, but it would have been boring.
Yeah.
Not as
True.
many people would have enjoyed it. It's just stuff like that. So it's kind of, I guess that's a little bit of a challenge to the mind that you can say, okay, was this good? Was that good? You know what I mean? And could have been done better? Probably not. You know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but it's just like some horror movies. You know, some horror movies. You know, like YouTube too is a little bit to blame for this because I remember seeing reviews of other movies, and then when I sat down to saw the movie, I went, "Yeah, I don't really agree with what that reviewer said or whatever." So then you have that other problem of
That's why. That's why
everybody
we.
comparing everything. Sometimes,
That's why we do what we do, because
Yeah.
neither, you know, sometimes we don't agree on stuff.
well, no, like for instance, there were reviewers that didn't like any of the Freddy Krueger movies, or didn't like any of the James Bond movies, or didn't like any of the Friday the 13th movies, and they weren't 100% wrong. But when I went to see those movies for myself, I went, okay, I can see what they're saying, but I still think they're being too harsh. But
Yeah. Some
yeah,
people.
most of them are producers; they're not directors either. So it's like, okay, you can critique anything, and
Yeah.
some are smarter than others, but you still aren't making it. Making a movie is tough, I guess, and I guess also just like with TV shows, I guess you need like millions and millions of dollars now
Yeah,
just
it's
to
true.
just to get it on, just to get it
Well,
made.
this one's not doing too bad at the moment. It's raked in over 200 million at the moment.
So I wonder if they're going to do a sequel now, or if they're going to be firm and say we're not going to do it.
I would, me personally, I would say that's it. Leave it at that
Yeah,
because it would get silly. I think.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
like
even if this was silly, this would even get more far fetched.
yeah, well, yeah, that's the other problem now. That if they do it again, then it might be a Fast and the Furious, and we don't need 14 versions of that. The no, but like you said, that R wasn't resolved. That guy that I mentioned, and then the one that you mentioned, he wasn't resolved. The Tatum character wasn't. So will they take the typical Hollywood route and say, okay, we have to make another movie because we didn't explain what these two characters are doing?
Who knows? Who knows? Anything else before we go to final say?
Um, if you gained all your insight into humanity through through Thomas the Tank Engine, you're actually a pretty wise character. I think. I thought that was really amazing because there is some truth in saying that you're wise if everything you learn from Sesame Street or Mister Rogers or one of those. Just
Wow,
stick to your childhood roots, okay? Just do
Can
that.
also as well, can I just say as well about the music in this? Having well-known songs but sung in Japanese. I was watching and I'm thinking, I know that song. I know that there was Staying Alive
Uh-huh.
uh, and Holding Out for a Hero,
Uh-huh.
but all in Japanese.
Yeah.
As soon as the music started, I think I know this song. My foot started tapping. Oh, I can't understand the words. Well, great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. Well, why does it have to be in English?
No, it doesn't have to be in English
Yeah.
because you recognize the tune. No, but like I said, and I do really like it. It does remind one of spy movies, of gangster movies, of Final Destination a little bit, of what was the other one? What was it? Oh yeah, Kill Bill. Because like at the end, it's like, wow, this is
Very
very
much.
Tarantino.
Very
This is very,
Tarantino.
this is all
Very much
very.
like Kill Bill. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that too. Yeah,
So
you're
it's
right.
like, okay, so because I was actually expecting like Samuel L. Jackson to show up or something, but I said no, they probably won't. That might be a touch too obvious, but that's the other thing is like, okay, are we imitating the imitating of we're going like, wasn't there a few scenes? It was almost like a mirror, like you were looking through a mirror, you're looking through a mirror of steps. You know, that old trick, like the trick of the poker, like they do in spy movies where they, you know, mirror the gun or they double impose the gun or they show you like, you know, 10 different, you know, playing cards in succession or whatever. And there was a couple of scenes like that too, where you sort of had the, you know, all these visual effects and animation and you know,
Yeah.
and all that. But I mean, yeah, I do like the movie. Don't get me wrong. And of course, there's a lot worse movies that they've, you know,
Sure.
done reboots of that were, you know, terrible that I wouldn't even, you know, I'd be wincing looking at now. But I'm surprised they're not already talking about a sequel, unless of course this took $800 million to make. I don't know what the original, you know, idea money wise was.
Only 90 million to make.
90 million, huh? Slightly cheap. So I mean, it had a huge cast and credits,
Yeah.
but
Lots of A-listers.
yeah, but I mean, it was 90 million. Actually, does sound a little cheap, and that's funny how
How they were
even
able
in
to,
the even in the 70s that was considered expensive.
but how
now
they were
it's
able to do so much with that little, yeah.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean I mean, obviously some things are computer generated,
All
you
right.
know, but I mean, it's not. They used it in a clever way. It wasn't just to say, okay, we're going to imitate this and that and do a really bad version of it. I mean, that's the other ones that I know, but it's totally different studios. I can't remember what studio was this.
It was. In a minute. Where are we? Production. Columbia, Sony Pictures.
Oh, okay, Sony. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Sony unfortunately has kind of done a not a great job with their versions of superhero movies. So I guess this is a feather in their cap. Although they didn't have great emails, though they got in trouble for some of their corporate emails. But yeah, I mean, I like the movie. I'd own it, and I'd give it a 9. But that's for
Oh,
overall. That's for overall. That's for and also because I haven't seen 10 movies like this. Although I'm ashamed to say it sort of reminds me of 10 movies.
But you
But I like
usually
it though.
top out at about 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't give this a 10 per se because I think that there's something missing. I think that they should have added uh, one more item. There's something missing. I agree with the internet people that reviewed this that it was very good, but not
yeah.
extremely good or you know.
So that was it's a 9 from Alex. So what is it from Susan? Hmm.
Well, I liked it too, but I will, yeah, I'll give this a 9 as well because it was well done. It was enjoyable. Um, uh, the trouble is that right now, a lot of it is overshadowed by some other things that I've seen recently, and that just means that it was similar enough to other things to be masked, and so like not 100%. Uh, it's not 100% memorable. So but it is really enjoyable while you're watching it. So yeah, I needed to refresh my memory before I came on this podcast, and usually I don't have to do that as much, but so a 9 for me as well, and but yeah, I will I would too own this eventually. So
Oh, right. So
and what about you, Lee? What would you give this? And what's
well,
the final say?
I'm going to go along with both of you here. It's a 9. It's 9. Mind the gaps. Uh, out of 10. Yeah, I agree with two things what both of you said here, Susan. It's enjoyable, but it's not that memorable. And I agree with what Alex says. There is just something missing, and I can't put my finger on it.
Hmm.
But it's still an enjoyable movie. Action, colourful, you know,
Fast paced.
yeah. So it's just So those two things you picked out on that made me decide. I've got to go 9 with this.
Yeah.
This is something not in the mix. And as you say, there's if you'd asked me in a week's time from now about this movie, I would have to do the same thing what you did, Susan. Go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's a little, it's a little
It's
less.
in the moment. If you're watching the movie, it's in the moment.
Yeah.
But if a week's time you think, oh, I can't remember what happened there. So yeah, so it's a triple niner.
Mhm.
So we've agreed.
Oh, amazing. God. Oh,
So that's us done with the Bullet Train. So Susan, Alex, thanks for joining us. Talking this movie. You guys out there, get in touch, leave a comment, because if you don't, I'll be round there to sort you out. I'll send Susan. No, but if you leave a comment,
we're
leave a
coming
comment.
from the Geeks Assembled. We'd like to know why you're not joining us.
Yeah,
Can you watch our videos, please?
yes, but yeah, leave a comment on our videos. Let us know what you thought of the movie if you've seen it. Leave a comment if you'd like to join us. Or message us. We're on social media all over the place: Facebook, Twitter, Insta, YouTube, of course. Also, if you are on YouTube and you subscribe to us, the bell button notification, don't want that. All aboard. Make sure you've pressed that, and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And the only thing you require if you do join us is to have a PC, laptop, tablet, or even a mobile phone. With a camera, of course, one of these things here. Microphone, one of them there, and be 18 and over, please, because some movies we review are 18 rated. So,
And because if we do get into a really heated discussion, we don't want it to affect your youth and your growing up.
I mean, our conversations haven't been that heated lately.
Not lately, but we did.
With other past members or members who are not here, it can get heated because everybody has got a difference of opinion, and that's what we like.
Yes.
But yeah, so that is it, I think, Susan. We've done. That's everything. Right. So everybody, all aboard. On to the next stop. Bye for now.